Hello everyone. This is a small guide on hand-to-face gestures. Let's get into it. The three wise monkeys. These monkeys symbolize those who hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. Their simple hand-to-face gestures form the basis of the human-to-seat gestures. In simple terms, when we see, speak, or hear lies or deceit, we are likely to attempt to cover our mouth, ears, eyes with our hands. People who hear bad news or witness a horrific accident will often cover their entire face with their hands to symbolically stop themselves from seeing or hearing the awful news. This was the gesture that was most observed worldwide when people heard about the planes flying into the Twin Towers on 11 September 2001. As we've discussed already, children often use hand-to-face gestures openly when they lie. If a child tells a lie, he will often cover his mouth with one or both hands in an attempt to stop the deceitful words from coming out. If he doesn't want to listen to a reprimanding parent, he simply covers his ears with his hands to block out the noise. When he sees something he doesn't want to look at, he covers his eyes with his hands or arms. As he becomes older, these hand-to-face gestures become quicker and less obvious, but they still occur when he is lying, covering up, or witnessing deceit. These gestures are also associated with doubt, uncertainty, or exaggeration. Desmond Morris conducted research in which nurses were instructed to lie to their patients about their health in a role-play situation. The nurses who lied showed a greater frequency of hand-to-face gestures than those who told the truth to the patients. Men and women also both increased the numbers of gulps of saliva when lying, but this is usually noticeable only with men, as they have an enlarged Adam's apple. When someone uses a hand-to-face gesture, it doesn't always mean that he or she is lying. It does indicate, however, that the person could be holding back information, or further observation of other gestures clusters can confirm or deny your suspicions. It's important that you avoid interpreting a single hand-to-face gesture in isolation. While there is no single guaranteed movement, facial expression, or twitch that confirms someone is telling a lie, there are several clusters that you can learn to recognize, which will dramatically increase your chances of spotting a lie. So, here are 7 of the most common lying gestures. The mouth cover. The hand covers the mouth as the brain subconsciously instructs it to try to suppress the deceitful words that are being said. Sometimes this gesture might only be several fingers over the mouth or even a closed fist, but the meaning remains the same. Some people try to disguise the mouth cover gesture by giving a fake cough. When actors play gangsters or criminals, they often use this gesture when discussing criminal activities with other gangsters or when being interrogated by the police so that the audience knows that they're being secretive or dishonest. If the person who is speaking uses this gesture, it could indicate that they could be lying. If they cover their mouth while they are speaking, it can show that they might feel you are hiding something. One of the most unsettling sights a conference speaker can see is his audience using this gesture while he's speaking. A speaker should stop and ask, "Would someone like to ask a question?" Or, "I can see some people disagree. Let's take questions." This allows the audience objections to be brought into the open, giving the speaker the opportunity to qualify statements and answer questions, just as he would do if they had their arms crossed. The mouth cover may appear as innocuous as the shh gesture, where one finger is placed vertically over the lips. This gesture would likely have been used by a person's mother or father when he was a child. As an adult, the person uses it in an attempt to tell themselves not to say something they're feeling. The point is that it alerts you to something that is being withheld. The nose touch. Sometimes the nose touch can be several quick rubs below the nose, or it may be one quick, almost imperceptible nose touch. Women perform this gesture with smaller strokes than men, perhaps to avoid smudging their makeup. The important thing to remember is that in this type of action should be read in clusters and in context. The person could have hay fever or a cold. Scientists at the Smell and Taste Treatment and Research Foundation in Chicago found that when you lie, chemicals known as catecholamines are released, causing tissue inside the nose to swell. They used special imaging cameras that show blood flow in the body to reveal that intentional lying also increases in blood pressure. This technology indicates that the human nose actually expands with blood during lying, and it is known as the Pinocchio effect. Increased blood pressure inflates and the nose and Increased blood pressure inflates the nose and causes the nerve endings in the nose to tingle, resulting in the brisk rubbing action to the nose with the hand to satisfy the itch. You can't see the swelling with the naked eye, but this is what appears to cause the nose touch gesture. The same phenomenon occurs when a person is upset or anxious. The eye rub. "See no evil," said one of the rice monkeys. When a child doesn't want to look at something, he'll cover his eyes with one or both hands. When an adult doesn't want to look at something distasteful, the eye rub is likely to occur. The eye rub is the brain's attempt to block out the deceit, doubt, or distasteful thing it sees, or to avoid having to look at the face of the person who is being lied to. Men usually rub their eyes vigorously, and if the lie is a real whopper, they will look away. Women are less likely to use the eye rub instead. They will use small, gentle touching motions just below the eye, because they have either been conditioned as girls to avoid making robust gestures or to avoid smudging makeup. They also avoid a listener's gaze by looking away. "Lying through your teeth" is a commonly used phrase. It refers to a gesture cluster of clenched teeth and a false smile combined with a eye rub. This gesture is used by movie actors to portray insincerity and by polite cultures, such as the English, who prefer not to tell you exactly what they're thinking. The ear grab. Imagine you tell someone it only costs 900, and the person grabs their ear, looks away to the side, and says, "It sounds like a good deal to me." This is a symbolic attempt by the listener to hear no evil, trying to block out the words he is hearing by putting the hand around or over the ear or tugging at the earlobe. This is the adult version of the hands over both ears gesture used by the child who wants to block out his parents' reprimands. Other variations of the ear grab include rubbing the back of the ear, the finger drill, where the fingertip is screwed back and forth inside the ear, pulling at the earlobe or bending the ear forward to cover the ear hole. The ear grab can be a signal that the person has had enough or may want to speak. As with the nose touch, the ear grab is used by a person who is experiencing anxiety. The neck scratch. The index finger, usually the writing hand, scratches the side of the neck below the earlobe. The observations of this gesture reveal the person scratches an average of 5 times. Rarely is the number of scratches less than 5 and hardly ever more than 5. This gesture is a signal of doubt or uncertainty and is a characteristic of the person who says, "I'm not sure I agree." It is very noticeable when the verbal language contradicts it. For example, when the person says something like, "I can understand how you feel," but the next scratch indicates they don't. The collar pull. Desmond Morris was one of the first to discover that lies cause a tingling sensation in the delicate facial and neck tissues, and a rub or scratch was required to satisfy it. This not only accounts for why people who are uncertain will scratch their neck, it presents a good explanation as to why some people use the collar pull when they lie and suspect they have been caught out. Increased blood pressure from the deceit causes sweat to form on the neck when the deceiver feels that you suspect he is not telling the truth. It also occurs when a person is feeling angry or frustrated and needs to pull the collar away from his neck in an attempt to let the cool air circulate. When you see someone use this gesture, ask, "Could you repeat that, please?" Or, "Could you clarify a point, please?" This can cause the would-be deceiver to give the game away. Fingers in the mouth. This is an unconscious attempt by the person to revert to the security of the child sucking on a mother's breast and occurs when a person feels under pressure. A young child substitutes his thumb or a blanket for his mother's breast, and as an adult, he puts his fingers to his mouth and sucks on cigarettes, pipes, pens, and glasses, and chews gums. Most hand-to-mouth gestures can be connected to lying or deception, but the fingers-in-mouth gesture is an outward indication of an inner need for reassurance. So giving the person guarantees and assurances is a positive move. Every presenter knows the empty feeling that results when he or she is giving a presentation to someone who says very little and just sits there watching. Fortunately, there are a number of hand-to-cheek and hand-to-chin gestures that can be used as a thermometer to test how hot or cold the other person's attitude is, and to tell the speaker how well he is doing. Boredom. When a listener begins to use his hand to support his head, it is a signal that boredom has set in, and his supporting hand is an attempt to hold his head up to stop himself from falling asleep. The degree of the listener's boredom is related to the extent to which his arm and hand are supporting his head. It usually begins with the chin being supported by the thumb, and then by the fist as interest wanes. Extreme lack of interest is shown when the head is fully supported by the hand, and the ultimate boredom signal occurs when the person is fully supported by the hands and snoring sounds are evident. Drumming the fingers on the table and continual tapping of the feet on the floor are often misinterpreted by professional speakers as boredom signals, but in fact signal impatience. If you're addressing a group of people and see these signals, a strategic move must be made to get the finger drummer or foot tapper involved in the conversation to avoid his negative effect on the other listeners. Any audience that displays boredom and impatience signals together is telling the speaker that it is time for him to end. The speed of the foot or the foot tap is related to the extent of the person's impatience. The faster the taps, the more impatient the listener is becoming. Evaluation gestures. Evaluation is shown by a closed hand resting on the chin or cheek, often with the index finger pointing upwards. When the person begins to lose interest but still wants to appear interested for courtesy's sake, the position will alter so that the heel of the palm supports the head as boredom sets in. Middle managers often use this gesture to feign interest to the company president who is giving a dull, boring speech. Unfortunately for them, however, as soon as the hand begins to support the head in any way, it gives the game away, and the president is likely to feel that some of the managers are being insincere or false flattery. Genuine interest is shown when the hand lightly rests on the cheek and is not used as a head support. When the index finger points vertically up the cheek and the thumb supports the chin, the listener is having negative or critical thoughts about the speaker or his subject. Sometimes, the index finger may rub or pull at the eyes as the negative thoughts continue. This gesture is often mistaken as a signal of interest, but the supporting thumb under the chin tells the truth about the critical to attitude. Holding a gesture cluster affects a person's attitude, so the longer a person holds it, the longer their critical attitude will remain. This gesture cluster is a signal that immediate action is required by the speaker, either by involving the speaker in what he is saying or by ending the encounter. A simple move, such as handing something to the listener to alter his pose, can cause a change in attitude. Chin stroking. The next time you have the opportunity to present an idea to a group of people, watch them carefully as you give their idea, and you may notice that most will bring one hand to their face and use an evaluation gesture. When you come to the end of your presentation and ask the group to give opinions or suggestions about their ideas, the evaluation gestures will usually stop and a chin stroking gesture begins. This chin stroke is the signal that the listener is going through the decision-making process. When you've asked the listeners for the decision and they start chin stroking, their next gestures will signal whether their decision is negative or positive. Your best strategy is to stay quiet and watch their next gestures, which will indicate the decision reached. For example, if the chin stroke is followed by a crossed arms and legs, and the person sits back in their chair, it's a fair bet that the answer will be a no. This gives you an early opportunity to resell the benefits before the other person verbalizes no and makes it harder to reach agreement. If the chin stroke is followed by leaning forward with arms open or picking up your proposal or sample, chances are a yes and can proceed as if you want agreement. Chances are you have a yes and can proceed if you have agreement. Stalling clusters. When someone who wears glasses sometimes follows an evaluation cluster by taking off their glasses and putting one arm of the frame in the mouth instead of using a chin stroke when they're making their decision. A cigarette smoker will take a puff of smoke. When a person puts a pen or a finger in their mouth after you've asked for a decision, it's a signal that he is unsure and reassurance is needed. The object in the mouth allows him to stall and not feel any urgency in giving an immediate response. Sometimes, boredom, evaluation, and decision-making gestures come in combinations, each showing different elements of the person's attitude. The next illustration shows the evaluation gesture moved to the chin, and the hand may also be stroking the chin. This person is evaluating the proposition and drawing conclusions simultaneously. When the listener begins to lose interest in the speaker, the head begins to rest on the hand. The next picture shows evaluation with the head supported by the thumb as the listener becomes uninterested. Head rubbing and slapping gestures. When you say someone gives you a pain in the neck, you're referring to the ancient reaction of the tiny erector pili muscles on the neck, often called goosebumps. My bad. Attempting to make your non-existent fur pelt stand on end to make yourself more intimidating because you're feeling threatened or angry. It's the same hair-raising reaction when an angry dog has when it's confronted by another potentially hostile dog. This reaction causes the tingling feeling you experience on the back of your neck when you feel frustrated or fearful. You'll usually rub your hand over the area to satisfy the sensation. Let us assume, for example, that you ask someone to do a small favor for you and that they had forgotten to do it. When you asked for the result, they slap either their forehead or the back of the neck, as if they were symbolically beating themselves. Although slapping of the head is used to communicate forgetfulness, it's important to watch whether they slap their forehead or neck. If they slap their forehead, they signal that they are not intimidated by you mentioning their forgetfulness. When they slap the back of the neck to satisfy the raised erector pili muscles, however, it tells you that you are literally a pain in the neck for mentioning it. Gerard Nierenberg of the Negotiation Institute in New York found that those who habitually rub the back of the neck have a tendency to be negative or critical, whereas those who rub their foreheads to non-verbalize an error tend to be more easy and outgoing. Acquiring the ability to interpret hand-to-face gestures accurately in a given set of circumstances take time and observation. When a person uses any of the hand-to-face gestures discussed in this chapter, it's reasonable to assume a negative thought has entered his mind. The question is, however, what is the negative thought? It could be doubt, deceit, uncertainty, exaggeration, apprehension, or outright lying. The real skill is the ability to interpret which negative is the correct one. This can be done by analysis of the gestures preceding to the hand-to-face gesture and interpreting it in context. Alright everyone, I think I've yapped for long enough. I'm gonna end it off here. So, thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.